Hello and welcome to Fats on Film. I am your host, Hannah Ogilvie, and this is a podcast where we talk about all things fat representation in film, TV, and wider media. This week, I have writer Jack Black fan and my friend and yours, it's Caitlin Magnall-Kearns. Hello, Caitlin.
Hello, everybody.
She's back.
I'm back. I'm back like Jack Black.
When I was thinking, like, what is Christmas coming up? I want to be seasonal, and obviously the holiday was already on my list because of Mr. Black. And I was like, who out of my guests I've already had loves Jack Black? Like, who could I ask to come back on? You were the top of my list, Caitlin. Top of my school register.
I'm so glad to hear that. Did I get any merits or demerits? That's all I want to know.
Gold stars and demerits. Yes, if the listeners are like, what is going on? Caitlin was on for the School of Rock episode, and God, I think we gushed so much over that film, didn't we? And I got to understand from you how much you love Jack Black and how hot you find Jack Black. Mm-hmm. And when we speak about the holiday, that's like an integral part of this film, which is definitely one of the reasons why it's one of my favorite Christmas holiday films. Like, I mean, where does this stack up? If you think about, right, it's December, what am I putting on the telly? Are you reaching for the holiday?
Holiday would be I would say the top 5. And I feel like it's one, like, me and my mum will watch together. Like, it feels kind of cozy. Love. It doesn't feel like too Christmassy, like, so you can kind of watch it a little bit earlier.
Which we have just done.
On the nose, which we have just done at the start of November. But it's because again, we'll come back to this later. But they don't show Christmas Day in this film.
No, they don't.
Which is so weird for a Christmas film. But I don't hate it. But it's top 5, and it's fairly unproblematic, which is always a bonus, because with so many of the Christmas films, you have to go, oh my God, you have to just turn a blind eye to a lot. But with this one, there's the odd little kind of comment or thing, but generally, it's, it's enjoyable.
Yeah, I think for a film that came out in 2006, this is pretty unproblematic.
Yeah.
I think it's a very white film, I will say. Very white.
I wrote that. I was like...
Oh, good. Fantastic.
At the end of it, I was like, was there anybody who wasn't white, who wasn't like staff in this? And I concluded very quickly that no.
No. Yes, because Iris goes through, doesn't she? She's meeting all like the garden staff at Amanda's house, and they're all Latino, aren't they? Oh, my gosh.
But like nobody, it's bizarre. But it's again, I got to the end and I was just kind of thinking, and then I was like, God, right enough. There was no, and no other woman, which again just popped into my head.
That's a really good point. So
the woman at the start, but apart from
I was going to say, you've got Iris's friend, who her character name is Hannah, which I found from the credits. I was like, oh hey, but that she was played by Sarah Parish, a British absolute like staple within our like British drama, like audiences will recognize her. Like, I recognize her from like so much stuff, mainly David Tennant driven stuff. They seem to like come up a lot, and if the listeners don't already know, David Tennant is my number one man, so if he's there, Sarah Parish is there, it seems. She's the Doctor Who tangent. She is the Queen of the Arachnos in The Runaway Bride, the Doctor Who Christmas special, with the first time we meet Catherine Tate's character Donna. Sarah Parish plays the woman in all the prosthetics, so that's also Christmassy, so that is related.
Because I recognised her, but I couldn't say from what, and it's probably because it's from about 5 different things. She's just one of those people.
Yeah, and she looks so much like Saran Jones as well, so I think people do get them mixed up. But no, Sarah Parish, getting her money, getting her bag. But yeah, you're right. You've got her, and then you've got the 2 girls, Jude Law's daughters, Sophie and Olivia, and that might be it. That might be it for the women.
And the spectre of his dead wife. Sorry, it's dark. I don't know.
No, because when she's like, where Carrie D's like, are you DIVORCE?
Oh no, I know.
And then she's like, WIDOWED. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, these are 2 long words to be spelling out. Just whisper them. Children can spell.
So much of this film, though, was me just saying, just just say it. Like, it was... But that's the whole point of misunderstanding is like the basis of romantic comedies. But I was just just say what you mean.
I know. I totally understand for the plot to be there, to exist, and for tension to rise, we have to have sticking points. And that usually, like you're saying, in rom-coms is miscommunication, or wrong end of the stick, or no one person doesn't want to give their feelings to the other person because they don't want to be vulnerable. That's the usual thing, right? But you're so correct. If everyone just sat the fuck down and explained what they thought and how they felt. Though, one of the biggest criticisms of this film is how long it is. Yeah. I read a review that said, take out half an hour. We take out half an hour if they just sit down and fucking talk. Why is it... Right, you know what? We're getting far too ahead of ourselves. Right. Let's do what we usually do. Let's go through the commercial review. I'm going to pass over to you for the plot synopsis, and then we'll get into it properly. Yeah. Okay, so The Holiday is a 2006 rom-com written, produced, and directed by, oh my god, I mean, it's Nancy Meyers. It's Nancy. Like, what hasn't she done? This is like something's gotta give. It's complicated, and of course, if you're a millennial, it's The Parent Trap. It's The Parent Trap. I fucking love that film. The music is by Hans Zimmer. Like, you brought in Hans fucking
That's
Zimmer.
Bizarre. I didn't know that. That is so funny. So
iconic. And I saw Hans Zimmer earlier this year, because he does his tour, doesn't he? And I was like, well, when's The Holiday? Come on. You've got Gladiator, Interstellar, like Dark Knight, Pirates of the Caribbean. I was like, but where's The Holiday on the set list, please?
Yeah, where's the Holiday's main theme? Yeah, which as soon as you hear it, you're like, yeah.
It's so good. And then, you could easily put The Holiday, like, June, Holiday, then Dunkirk. That would work as a set piece.
100%. Yeah.
100%.
Why not?
God, Hans. Yeah. It stars Kate Winslet, Cameron Diaz, and I do refer to Cameron Diaz as Cammy D, it's just easier, Jude Law and Jack Black. It had a budget of $85 million, which I truly believe was on the houses, right? Because the houses... Oh, yeah. I mean, Nancy Meyers, very similar to Nora Ephron, she loves a kitchen, and we are kitchening in this film. We are kitchening, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. But this made over $205 million. It is a ridiculous amount of money for a rom-com. Wow. So I usually talk about the award nominations that films receive at this point. Unfortunately, it might be a surprise, The Holiday isn't nominated for a lot. But the two I wanted to highlight, so these are from the Teen Choice Awards. And they won Best Chick Flick. The Holiday won Best Chick Flick at the Teen Choice Awards.
Fair.
And then it was nominated for Best Hissy Fit for Cameron Diaz. And I was there going, wait, where's her hissy fit? And obviously it's so far gone, I can't find out what it was specifically. But my gut is it the breakup?
That's what I was thinking, because she doesn't throw a hissy fit at any other point in the film, apart from when she's like maybe dragging her cases. But that doesn't feel like a hissy fit. But then I hate that, like, ugh.
Oh, Caitlin, please. Like, I was like, are we saying the hissy fit is when she's breaking up with her adulterer of a partner who's gaslit her into thinking she's losing her mind because she knew Ed Burns was cheating on her. And he's like, and then she slaps him and punches him as she should. Not that I could do with violence at all, by the way. Anti-violence here. But is that the hissy fit? Is that the hissy fit? Because that is, not only are we got chick flick, we've got hissy fit. I was like, this is the most misogynistic thing I've ever read. And I'm like, those are the only nominations it got.
I'm surprised. I could definitely see this. I think, weirdly nowadays, like in the Golden Globe musical or comedy category, I could see this getting a few noms, a little like supporting actor noms for Kate and Jack, maybe.
Just a casual, just like, it just, I think it deserves something. We're speaking about it because it is, even now, however many years later, it's still really well regarded. And on that, according to a 2023 poll by known surveyors Costa Coffee, The Holiday was named by Brits as one of the top 10 movies to help them overcome heartbreak and move on.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's overcoming heartbreak by just getting with someone else. It's not really that. Like,
there's a word for that.
What?
Rebound.
Oh yeah, rebound. Yeah. I was like, what? I'm so confused.
What's this term that Hannah's just like, teasing?
What is this term? Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. It's basically about rebounding, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. In the worst way possible. Because, okay, but we will get to it, but neither of these couples are still together now,
No, God, no.
Those girls grow up in a broken home. Please, can you let me and the listeners know, what is The Holiday all about?
I'll keep it short and sweet. I wrote this earlier. So, two women who are respectively unlucky in love, English newspaper columnists, and I looked it up, apparently she's a columnist for The Telegraph.
Yes.
Her name is Iris, and an American trailer editor, Amanda, decided to swap homes over the Christmas period. Romantic hijinks ensue. So that's pretty much the setup, and then it all goes from there.
Yeah. So we have Kate Winslet's Iris, who is like, Kate Winslet's one of the most beautiful women to ever exist, and yet this film is trying to tell us that she's like this frumpy, like, who would fancy Iris, like Rufus Sewell, of course he would, cheat on Iris with what's-her-face over here. And I'm like, are we looking at the same woman?
It's really odd to, I mean, I think the way we were all kind of gaslighting like 2000 to 2010, like collectively as a population, like between this and Bridget Jones, and like
I know,
trying to convince us that these women, it's insane, because she's so English Rose, like, to a T.
I'm literally, and then, I mean, I do actually believe Amanda's characterization more,
100%,
because Cameron Diaz, like, not to at any way take away from Cameron Diaz's beauty, because she obviously is, but she really plays that neuroticism of Amanda so well that I could. Not that I think Ed Byrne should have cheated on Cameron Diaz, okay? But I can understand how that relationship got to where it was, where she's obviously a workaholic, like she's obviously like, putting her career first rather than like neglected her relationship. Like, I understood that conflict more, whereas with Iris, who's meant, I mean, again, Kate Winslet does play it fantastically, but I just couldn't believe that she was meant to be second choice in this scenario. Yeah,
I think you're right, and I think you totally. And again, we'll get into this, I'm sure, more. But I buy generally the Cameron Diaz Jude Law stuff more than I buy the Kate Winslet Jack Black stuff, and I think a lot of that comes down to that, really, the characterization of the woman. But I wonder if it's, I wonder what it's about. I know Kate Winslet said, I had a look on Wikipedia, said she was very scared about doing the comedy, and was like, I don't think I'm funny, like, I don't, so, and whereas Cameron Diaz, I think she's a lot more comfortable, as you said, like, kind of, being a bit more messy, or being a bit more kind of in that kind of way, on screen. But I would agree with you about finding her more convincing than Kate Winslet. Again, not to take away from Kate Winslet, who's very charming in this film, very sweet. You totally root for her. Her relationship, especially with the older man, is so cute, and so that bit's really, for her, I believe that relationship like more.
Yeah.
Like that friendship is, like, to me, the main relationship in that film for her.
The reason why we're talking about this is because of Jack Black. Like, Jack Black being in this film is, like, really inspired casting from a plus size representation point of view. It's I guess it could be seen as a bit of stunt casting, because I was looking back at Jack Black's filmography up until this point, and he had never done anything like this before. Like, the other, like, rom-com he done was Shallow Hal. Yeah, future episode of the podcast coming soon.
Oh god.
I mean, I've literally never seen it, so I don't know how that film ends. but obviously I know what the premise is about. But yeah,
it's you're in for a treat. And if by treat you mean scarring experience that will stay with you forever, then
yeah, I'm so excited. But yeah, like I think to see him in this like genuinely sincere role, to see him as the romantic interest. I remember when this film was announced, or when I first saw the posters, and I was like, oh my god, what a combo. Kate Winslet and Jack Black. Holy shit, that's so cool. Like, what were your thoughts when you first saw that?
So this is another thing to, like, I came to this film quite late. I only watched it for the first time maybe 2 years ago. And so I'd always been aware of it. I mean, I mentioned that I was doing this podcast about this film, and someone was like, oh yeah, it's always on ITV2 no matter what time of the year is. And I'm like, yeah, it's one of the ITV2 staples. So I was always aware
Hot
of
Fuzz,
it.
Casino Royale, Skyfall, The Holiday.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the rotation. So like maybe a Harry Potter every now and then, unfortunately. But I've been aware of it, and I was like, I love Jack Black, and I kind of just, I used to be quite pretentious or whatever, and kind of be like, oh, I don't think that kind of film's, for me. But unfortunately, I got over myself and saw The Light a couple of years ago, and was like, and I think it was near Christmas, and I said, like, I think I said to my mom, I think I did watch it with her for the first time. I was like, have you seen this before? And she was like, no. I'm like, let's put it on. And I was so pleasantly surprised. And again, the Jack Black thing was not, I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting it to be played completely straight.
Yes.
Bar the one scene where he's being very Jack Black in the video store.
Oh my god, they let him loose, didn't they?
Because it does that is not conducive with any other part of him in this film.
No,
they just let him go full like Jack Black in the video store, which is so funny to me. But yeah, I mean, it's like, it's really cool just to see it so normal, and like I don't even think you could do that now. I think we've taken steps backwards in that regard in some way. Like, and even like I had a look at the script because I like to kind of do that, and they describe Miles, his character, as boyish and shaggy, so they don't say like a heavier guy or like husky, stocky. Though I think I read that sorry, I keep wanting to say Nancy Meyers. It is Nancy Meyers, isn't it?
Yeah,
I keep getting confused between her and
Nora,
yeah. She saw School of Rock, and that was what inspired her to cast Jack Black in this. So yeah, it's interesting. And like they are cute. I think their chemistry, and I think like we're going to talk about it more, but like their chemistry is more of a grower. Like, in the first scene, I was kind of like rewatching. I was like, but then as it goes along, obviously that kind of, it's more. I hate to say like more romantic, but in that kind of old school Hollywood way, which I think they talk about in the film, it's more kind of, a slow burn romantic, whereas what Jude Law and Cameron Diaz has is very kind of fiery from the start. Is very kind of
I totally agree. I think I was super excited to see Jack Black in this role, especially against like Kate Winslet. Like, she's just, I've already said it, she's a powerhouse. She is a phenomenon like of British acting. Like, she is a dame. Like, she will, if she isn't already, she will become Dame Kate Winslet. You know what I mean? And I think you're right. The video store scene is the most like left, and there's also the other scene where he's like showing her Arthur's theme, and he plays Indiana Jones. And I feel that must have been like completely improv, because Kate Winslet takes too much of a beat to click into what is happening in that moment. And actually, it's so funny you say that, because I think you're right. I think Kate Winslet probably was a little bit fearful to go more into comedy again, trying to like go through the Rolodex of her filmography in my head. She was known for dramas. Like, that is Kate Winslet. She is a drama queen, and I say that with all the respect in the world. So you put Kate Winslet against this is the same year that Natural Libre comes out. This is the same year as The Pick of Destiny. Like, you couldn't be more Jack Black. And then he had, fantastic juxtaposition to have him do this like proper rom-com where he is meant to be desirable. You are they are trying to get you on Iris and Miles' side. And even like that very first scene where they meet, when they have the Santa Ana winds blowing, and the whatever it is goes into Iris's iris, and Jack, Miles helps her get it out. I was like, oh, because there's always something so intimate about, you know, checking eyes 100%. For stuff. You know, like, oh, if you've got like an eyelash, and I was like, oh, I see you. And he obviously clearly fancies her, is endeared to her, because like, who is this random English woman in my mate's house? You know, I totally understand the suspicion and that, like, what's going on? I want to know more. But then we have the Maggie character, who is Jack's or Miles's love interest, like, as we're introduced. And what's really interesting is Miles and Maggie are the first couple we see in the film. Like, the film opens up to Miles. He's a composer, and he's, you know, writing some music, and Maggie is there, and you can see that, like, you know, Miles looks really longingly at Maggie, like, you know, almost like, oh my god, I can't believe my luck kind of a look. And then, you know, we don't see Miles for a long time after that, and I find that, like, really interesting from a characterization point of view, because they bring up Miles and Maggie's relationship throughout. And again, Miles kind of reaffirms that suspicion of, like, oh, like, you know, I've got this really hot young actress. We've been together 5 months. You know, I can't believe he says, I have no idea what she sees in me. Now, I read that. I don't know if you agree with me, Caitlin, but I read that as if to say, like, he thought he wasn't in her league.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I agree. Yeah. Because whatever way, I think that's one of those lines that I think, if that was coming out of another actor's mouth, it might mean something else. But I think because that's to do with the casting.
Yes.
That's how it reads, of the whole thing of, like, but interestingly, he doesn't seem to think about that with Kate Winslet. He never goes, I can't believe it, I'm with this, like, really hot English woman, like, which I never really thought about. I also just, at this juncture where we're talking about his Maggie, his Maggie,
he literally says, he goes, my Maggie.
My Maggie. She is like, why do all evil women in films around this time have those dark hair, bob fringes? Because I'm thinking about Love Actually, and the Alan Rickman
Oof.
That woman, the doing dark deeds woman. They're having a bob off.
So it's a real fuck you, Bob.
Yeah, the fuck you, Bob is very, like, it seemed to be really au fait. I think if you saw a woman with a bob like that in a film at that time, you're like, oh, someone's in trouble.
Not to be trusted.
Not to be trusted. Like, and again, blonde women are virtuous, and sweet.
Yes, we have 2 blonde women as our leads. And Rufus's new fiancée, she's a brunette. We just see her. I don't even know what her name is, but we just see her. Yeah, she's a brunette. Oh yeah, you're onto something there. I'm looking at you, Caitlin. You got your brunette hair. It's slightly shorter than the bob, but I'm like, can we trust you?
I mean, I don't trust myself most of the time, so
okay.
It's. But I think that's a different problem.
That's a really different podcast. That's a therapy podcast.
Yeah, that's on the Patreon. Like, yeah, you have to subscribe for that.
Oh my god, please! If anyone wants to pay us, so we could give you our problems, I would gladly. Yeah, so I think, like, we have that mismatch, and then obviously we know Iris has ran off to LA to get away from her ridiculously toxic ex-relationship with Rufus. And I keep mentioning him, Rufus Sewell. I have no idea if that's how you say his last name. I'm saying it Rufus Sewell. If I am wrong, I apologize. But if you want a cunt, you cast Rufus Sewell. He has never played a good person. He is so good at playing an arsehole.
Yeah, he has those vibes, and, like, just like, slimy as well, but, like, to the point where you're like, what do you see in him? It's almost like to the point he has, like, no redeeming, because he's not even necessarily that charming. Whereas I think, again, not to keep comparing it to, like, films of around this time, of, like, British films around this time, but, like, Hugh Grant in Bridget Jones, you get it, he's a sleazebag, but he's, like, charming and, like, has this way of confidence and sexy, whereas he's just a full, like, sleaze, and the way he's treated her is just, like, beyond horrible.
Horrible. And I think you're right, because we never get to see whatever the relationship was, because it's 3 years prior to the start of the film. But what we do see is, obviously, he doesn't respect her. He just loves the power he has over her, and gets her to do his dirty work, like, gets her to, like, read through his book looking for edits, like, work, like, literally unpaid labor to this man who cheated on her. It's disgusting. So yeah, I think, like, we understand Iris's point of view. We understand that she's going to LA. She's obviously, like, nor her or Cammy are looking for love. Like, that's the whole thing. When you least expect it, the love comes.
Yeah. Are there any men in your village? There are no. Yeah, the whole thing about there's no men there. Zero. Yeah.
Is tomorrow too soon?
I love that bit on that really bad message, like old messenger.
I love it. No, right, but you know what I find really funny about that? So, like, Iris has her, like, a Sony Vaio laptop, the Vaio laptop that everyone had, and apparently she just has the app open for the home exchange, like, on her desktop, even though she's never done it before. Like,
yeah, and seemingly does not even really remember, like, signing up.
Yeah, like, I just did this on a whim.
Yeah, on a whim.
With my cute ass cottage that no one had ever wanted before this moment. It's so pretty.
I much prefer the cottage to the flashy LA place. Like, get me to the cottage with that little dog, unnamed dog, who's very cute.
The unnamed dog. So, like, hold on. You're just gonna let this stranger into your house and look after your family member?
Drive your car? I think I wrote, like, literally, the house swap thing sounds very sus, is, like, one of my comments. I was like, this seems, because the way she's like, yeah, and we swap everything, like cars. I'm like, what? Like, what?
Lives, identities.
Yeah, it's like, but yeah, this poor dog, when is this dog getting walked?
Well, there is a scene where she's walking the dog. There's one scene. So
but Iris isn't doing it.
Iris isn't doing it.
As a dog owner.
Well, she's walking Arthur.
But she's walking the old man and, like, going, here, I'm taking your mobility aid away from you, but it's okay.
the ableist. I saw that. I was like, he needs the walker.
And she's like, come and get it.
You're not his doctor.
Come and get it. I was like, this is bad. Like, this is...
You're not his physiotherapist. You are a journalist for the Telegraph. Who are you to, like, retain his aids for him? It's so weird. But at the same time, I really appreciate we're looking at 2023 lens. Like, they didn't think of this back then. They were like, this is just kooky and cute. We're just abusing this old man. So we first meet Miles, and he's with Maggie, and we were like, okay, well, he's obviously off the table. Maybe they just have a friendship. Who knows? And then we have our infamous video shop scene with our little cameo from Dustin Hoffman. Love, why not? And we see that Maggie's actually meant to be on set somewhere for 5 months filming a film.
Santa Fe.
In Santa Fe. Is that far? I have no idea. Like, is that far from
No
LA?
clue. I just know the song Santa Fe from Rent.
Ah, okay. Okay, don't know if that helps us.
I think it says it's sunny, so it can't be that far.
Okay, so Santa Fe's in New Mexico. So it's, oh my God, honestly, America is so big. It's 13-hour drive away.
Wow, yes.
Yeah.
That is long, because he FedExed her Christmas present.
The day before Christmas.
He
really thought about it. just dragging Miles.
Poor Miles.
I know, poor Miles. So yeah, so he's in the Blockbuster, and he's like, oh, Maggie's away, and then Maggie just so happens to walk by arm in arm with some, I don't know, again, we don't know his name, but it's just some beefcake. Yeah. And, like, again, as an audience, we are meant to infer that she has cheated on Miles, that she has gone for someone maybe more in her league, and I'm using air quotes. Mm-hmm. And Iris clocks it straight away. So Iris is so funny in this, but she's just like, oh no.
Oh no, with her, like, milkshake.
Yeah, with whatever they're drinking. Hello, big dollop. Very Jack Black.
That bit was very Jack Black. The hello, big dollop in particular. That was an improv.
I loved it. I loved it. We should use that more as just a people. Hello, Big Dollop.
So good, yeah. But yeah, she is kind of, she acts like that with quite a lot of things. She kind of just goes, "Oh no," and like,
"Oh no." Yeah.
Doesn't really. I mean, maybe that's why Cameron Diaz got nominated for Hissy Fit, because compared to Kate Winslet, who, you know, she does cry, but it's kind of, oh no, we're crying. Cameron Diaz looks like practically like like seething with like rage and emotion.
Yes. Yeah, it's again, it's that trope, isn't it? Like, she doesn't cry, and he cries a lot. Like, oh god, I love it. I need to actually, if the listeners don't know, I actually really do love this film. But when you have to watch,
same.
yeah, but when you have to watch something in order to like critique it and analyze it, you watching it with a wholly different lens, and you just realize how much of it's just shite. It's great shite. It's so much fun.
Premium shite. Yeah.
premium, like top drawer shite with a little Christmas bow on it.
The fact all these people's jobs as well, of course, none of them were like, I just work in a factory. It's like, oh no, we're all like creatives,
but like rich creatives.
Yeah, like I had a look because I was like, how much does a video, a trailer editor make?
It's a really good question.
Salaries range from 16,000 to $440,000. So we're thinking that Cameron Diaz is probably at that end.
Look, she says that's why they pay me the big bucks. Yeah,
that's it. That's why she can hire John Krasinski and Catherine Hahn. Yeah.
I saw them and I was like, oh, the bibbies.
Bibbies, more white people. I'm like, this.
Honestly, the casting of this film,
the caucasity of it all. It's, you know.
It'd be interesting to watch like Nancy Meyers' other films, because again, like, something's got to give. I mean, they're definitely the main four are all white, because you've got Diane Keaton, Jack Nicholson, Amanda Peet, and Keanu Reeves. I guess Keanu Reeves isn't like, you know, he's got Asian in him. It's complicated. Again, the central three: Meryl Streep, Alec Baldwin, and Steve Martin. So yeah, we're not looking good, Nancy.
Not looking good. I've never. So this is a tangent, and we can cut this out. I've never seen It's Complicated, but who's sleeping with Alec Baldwin over Steve Martin?
Meryl. So Meryl and Alec are.
Oh no, I just mean like. Oh no, I know the plot of the film, but I'm just saying like who would choose? Who would choose?
So literally.
Who would choose like Alec Baldwin over Steve Martin?
I totally understand your logic, and any other day of the week I'd be with you.
However, this film,
this specific film, this is when Steve has just had his plastic surgery, and his face is very. It's very Uncanny Valley. It is, and it's just it's really off-putting. He looks so much better now. It's kind of worn off, because I love Only Murders in the Building with my whole entire being.
100%. Oh my god.
Oh, he's phenomenal in it. Like, they all are phenomenal. It's just no notes. But yeah, in that specific film, I think I would actually choose horrendous person Alec Baldwin.
It's not ideal, is it? I mean, it's not like it's again, not using Meryl Streep. It's not exactly Sophie's choice. Like, maybe it is Sophie's choice, but it's the opposite. Like, it's like, oh god, right, I have to pick one.
You have
post surgery Steve Martin and Alec Baldwin, just generally. But yeah, it's complicated in the words of the film.
That's what Nancy actually meant.
Yeah, exactly. That was what she was inferring. But yes, what were you talking about? Oh yeah, just casting in this. Oh yeah, her job as well, and all of them having these kind of jobs that they can obviously take 2 weeks off to just fly somewhere and like, and just it's fine, and like, and if anything, like Iris's boss is like, good for you, like go take a holiday, you deserve it, not being like, where the fuck are you, like.
Over like one of our busiest periods of time, it's fucking Christmas. The news doesn't stop, Iris. Like, yeah, I think as well, and I know they try to show the differences in their salaries, and I am like using air quotes here because there won't be any differences, but like, you know, we have Iris taking a train back to a village, and you know, she has to walk back to her cottage in the middle of nowhere, and I can imagine American audiences might think, oh, that must mean it's cheaper, but anyone who knows, if she's 40 minutes outside of London and she's got a gorgeous detached house with that, oh my god, the cutest fucking bathroom, can we point out that half bath with the exposed brick, you know, we're looking easily over £1 million for that, easily over £1 million. And then, but there's another thing. Oh god, I really don't mean to drag Kate acting in this, but the scene where she gets to Amanda's house and she sees how just like ridiculously glamorous is. So you want Iris's cottage, I want Amanda's LA mansion.
There we go.
Okay, so that's
it's a deal.
Yeah, that works, right? And she runs around and she's like, oh my god, and I was just like, babe, I can't believe you because you're Kate fucking Winslet. You have that house.
That whole bit when she was like, woohoo, like it was that was like the only bit where I was like, okay.
Yeah. I really cringe.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I was like, this is the one bit where I was like, I'm embarrassed for you. This is quite cringy. But no one could see it, so it's fine. But
I mean, we all make choices, we all make choices, and just unfortunately some people's choices are recorded in film for eternity.
This is why they didn't win the the awards because of that sequence.
That one scene. This is actually all Kate's fault. So it's Kate.
Sorry, Kate. No, I love Kate. I do actually genuinely love Kate Winslet. And,
no, I do too. I just think
it's funny just to see her. Yeah, it's funny just to see her in this kind of role in this kind of film, and where she's not kind of having to be brooding or having to be like kind of in. Because I think of the films I love and roles I love are in like Mare of Easttown and like even like Heavenly Creatures or whatever.
Yes.
And like, that's the dark and kind of quite, extreme. And this is just kind of mild-mannered, nice woman.
Like, I genuinely feel like some of her personality is just simply English.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And it just wears a little bit thin. And I think as well, like, I know part of her journey is her getting the gumption, watching these old films from Arthur's like time of Hollywood, and I love that, and I think that's a really gorgeous relationship that she has with Arthur. He like really gets her to see how she is the leading lady, that, and I love that whole pep talk that he gives her, and she finally gets to a point where she's actually going to make a conscious decision in her life rather than just be passive, but I think you can just feel that maybe she isn't the most comfortable. But then if I compare that with Jude Law, we've completely not spoken about Jude Law. And
Jude Law is great in this.
Yes, he really, really is. But again, I'm trying to think, Jude Law, he is like a real moment at this part. Like the mid-noughties is his fucking era. I think 2004 is like his really big year. I am now quickly IMDbing Jude Law. But he'd done like Alfie,
Alfie, yeah.
That was like a really big thing. Oh, Closer, I love Closer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so he did Coal Mountain. Oh, that's 2003. Then we have I Heart Huckabees, which is the David O. Russell film. Alfie, Closer. He's in The Aviator. I really don't remember him in The Aviator. He's Lemony Snicket in A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
this is all 2004, right?
Wow.
And then we get to 2006 with The Holiday. So like he is doing well for himself. But again, even in that, like Closer is more of a drama. He's in AI, which is a drama. The Towns of Mr. Ripley, a drama. Like he isn't necessarily known for rom-coms, but he is known for like sexy, handsome roles. Like more was like more. This is the wrong gender, but like, he's like a femme fatale in a sense. He's just like something. Totally. There's something just incredibly sexy about Jude Law, and I think putting him in this, and I think against Cameron Diaz, like they are really electric.
Oh,
and,
so good.
He knocks on that door, and you realize really quickly Iris is his sister, and obviously when he's had like a few too many in the pub in the village, he just stops over on Iris's sofa. But he opens like to. Cameron Diaz opening the door, and he's like instantly like, whoa, hi, like I'm gonna get my ending like straight away. But he's so charming about it.
He's never letchy. That's the thing. Like, yes, because they even mention consent in it. Like, I can't remember exactly the lines of it, but he's like, if you want me to, like. Again, it's like charming, but like flirty. It's flirty, not letchy, and it's very like confident rather than like too much like cocky. Like he walks that line so that it doesn't feel creepy in any way or weird. No. And you know, I wonder if he looked differently or if it was a different actor, if we would feel that way. Because obviously, like, he's conventionally attractive, very charming, but he's so good in this, and the two of them are so good in this.
Yes.
And totally, I mean, you just buy it. And when he says "I love you," even though it's only been what, like a week and a half, you like buy it. You like, yeah.
No, I totally get about how quickly he falls, because again, it's really set up nicely that he's obviously a very emotional person. He like really gets into his feelings. You know, again, they set up that he is a single dad. He is a widower. He has his whole, like, you know, I get, it's not a rant, I think it's probably too harsh a word, but he has his, like, you know, I read cooking books and parenting books before I go to bed, and I also thought, but you could have done that even if you weren't a widower, Jude Law, but hey, who am I to judge? But yeah, like, he obviously has a lot going on in his mind, and there's a part of me that thinks, you know, if I was Cameron Diaz in this situation, and a man who I had been dating, you know, because that is what they're doing, even though it's very quick, for the past week, and he hasn't mentioned he's got 2 kids, I would be pissed the fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
But then when he explains it, where he like kind of goes like, well, I didn't think I would ever have to do this because you're meant to be gone in 2 weeks. I thought I could keep both lives separate, and I thought I could just be like the single guy who isn't, you know, Mr Napkin Head, who isn't getting hot chocolate spilled over him. And I was like, you know what? As much as I disagreed, now you've explained yourself, I actually understand your point of view. And I think I would like for us to do a bit of a thought experiment here, because I think it might show us a bit of our own unconscious bias. But if we swapped Jude Law for Jack Black, so Jack Black is Graham, and Jack Black knocks on Amanda's door, or Iris's door, and it's still Cameron Diaz. Cameron Diaz opens the door. How does that play out?
I think we would see it as like comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting because immediately you go, well, Cameron Diaz wouldn't have the same reaction
yes,
to him, but that's because of how we are, like Jack Black in this film is seen as like in the role of Miles as a grower. He's not like a wham, like whatever. And I think the way he also would play it would be with like his charisma, but his charisma is kind of read as like comic rather than kind of suave, sexy, which I think he could be. But like, it's really interesting, and the whole thing about keeping a secret like that. Again, you maybe think he's a bit of a sleaze, like a bit of a like, oh god, like who are you to do that? So it's interesting that like the kind of sweet romantic side is like given to Jack Black, but you could never see a world in which he could be playing Jude Law's character and playing it straight, I think, like, which is really annoying and sad and silly, but you know, for me anyway. I don't know if that would be the same, like similar to you or different to what you would think about.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think unfortunately the way we've been conditioned to see, I mean, I guess it's kind of partly some of the fault of Jack Black's typecasting, is we've been conditioned to see him as comedy, even though Miles is absolutely meant to be seen as a romantic partner for Iris. He's still like outwardly funny. He's still always making jokes, and Graham, Jude Law's character, doesn't do that. So I think to not, and that's not fair to Jude Law, but you know, Jude Law, Graham is particularly humorless, just because that's just not what that character is meant to do. So I think if you stripped Jack Black of all of his potential outlets for comedy, I think maybe he would struggle in that. And there's a reason why casting exists, right? There's a reason why they made that decision to put Jack Black in a more comedy, charming, but like from a goofy kind of charm over Miles, and then they took super suave Jude Law and put him in the Graham role. That's why that happened. It's just I guess it's just playing on when we have films. And the reason why representation matters so much is because they are always playing on what we already understand to be about particular people's looks and bodies, right? Because if you're a film, you've only got X amount of run run minutes. You're not
Mm-hmm.
going to use precious minutes, precious screen time to explain why that character does the way it does. So it's going to try and get as much across to you non-verbally as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So with Jack Black, regardless of him being a bigger guy, when we see Jack Black, we know he's going to be funny. So, like, instantly, we don't even have to do much character development because we just intrinsically know, Jack Black's going to be funny. Or with Cameron Diaz, she's going to be a bit zany. You know, we just know that of her character.
It's shorthand, yeah,
exactly, it's shorthand. So, as much as, like, you know, I'd love to sit here and be like, oh, it's fat phobic, it's this and that, is that the other thing. I mean, it'd probably a bit. Like, I mean, the beauty standard is fat phobic, and Jude Law fits the beauty standard. So, yeah, you're 100% right. But purely from a characterization point of view, it wouldn't have made sense.
I also think it's an interesting one when we, like, from his perspective, also, one small point. You said Jude Law's character is humorless. Mr. Napkin Head. Come on, that's comedy gold.
I am so sorry. I neglected. Like, you know what? Because I see that come up on my algorithm a lot around Christmas. You know, people love Mr. Napkin Head. My sister loves Mr. Napkin Head, and as I watch it this time around, I'm like, am I like dead inside?
It's not funny whatsoever. It's just so
it
stupid.
goes on.
But, like,
it goes on for too long, Caitlin.
So long. They could have shaved that off for the runtime. Like, we did not need that much Mr.
Didn't.
Release the non-Mr. Napkin Head in it, and we would be fine. Like, bring me that cut. But
please.
On the point about kind of casting, it's interesting because, like, I used to do acting, and I still do a bit of acting, but, like, I consider myself a comedy actor, but I think no matter what size I was, I would consider myself a comedy actor. And I've got friends of mine who are in bigger bodies who are like, I'm not a comedy actor, but I keep getting put up for comedy roles, and because of the way I look, I'm expected to be funny, I'm expected to be able to do all these things, physical comedy I'm expected to do, and I'm a dramatic actor. So, like, it's interesting, like, because I think we just assume that this, like, that type equals this, whereas, like, I've had friends of mine who've literally been like, I've given up acting because I'm not a comedic actor, but I know I'm not going to get cast in any roles because that's just not. And so I think I think that's more. I do think that's more for women. I think there's more men who are bigger bodied and they're able to do more dramatic parts, and it's not. It's seen as normal or seen as kind of whatever. But with Jack Black, I think he is just a comedic actor. Like, that is what he brings. His comedy is so much a part of him, and even in roles which are slightly darker, slightly kind of, you know, I've seen him a few films where he's played kind of like Bernie, where he played that, you know. And there's another one called God, what was it called? Because it got the D Train. Very weird film. Would recommend it. Okay, but it's quite dark. He always has that element of comedy, and sometimes, though, I think the D Train subverts it in a quite an interesting way. But this is so him. It's so he's just so warm and so lovely. And, like, I have an interesting quote actually from Nancy Meyers saying, "This is what most guys look like if they're lucky." Yeah, is what she said of Jack Black. She's like, your average guy in film terms, whereas to us would be like very attractive.
Yeah, that's such an interesting point. You're totally right. The film's view of the world and of the beauty standard is so much more warped than everyday life, and we forget that. I think we forget that. That's why when you have people compare themselves to actors and actresses or you know, musicians or whatever it might be, we go, oh, why don't we look like that? It's like, I mean, you know, we can go into it, but, like, you know, they literally have personal trainers. They have chefs. They can dedicate their entire lives to maintaining that specific look. You can't, because you have 2 jobs. Therefore, it didn't work. Like, what they have is money. You know, they have money, they got time. We're like, if you're just like an average person who's just trying to survive, you don't have the capacity to dedicate time to look a certain way. And that's totally fine. Even if you do have the time, you might not want to spend the time doing that, because, you know, you might want to do something else. Something else might interest you. But we're just, you know, the media When you think about, the different gossip mags that we grew up with that were constantly comparing, well, first of all, calling out. I mean, this is the noughties. Kate Winslet used to get absolutely slated by the British press for not being thin. Famously, James Cameron, Jimmy C, he thought that Kate Winslet was too big to play Rose in Titanic, and she's tiny. Yeah. And it like, I mean, we all know, right? We all know that's ridiculous. But if Kate Winslet is getting, rinsed for her like non-existent fat,
for having hips, basically,
literally just like having
hip bones.
Yeah, she has the hip bones.
like it's yeah, exactly. What chance is there for the rest of us when she's seen as, I was thinking about this and I wrote this down actually. I think, I don't know if you think this, I think Iris totally could have been fat.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I love that.
I don't think that would have changed anything. If anything, it would make it more sense why that relationship with her boss was kept behind closed doors and he just used her for sex. Yeah. Why he thought he could use her like treat her like shit. Why she was so hung up on him because she didn't think she could get anyone else.
Oh my God, Caitlin, you're so right.
I'll watch for the remake. I will do the remake or the stage adaptation.
Well, I read that there was rumours of a sequel, but they have been dismissed, and I think that's right. Like I said earlier, these couples do not. They're no longer a thing. Like, no, they don't go the distance.
When you Google The Holiday, all of the pictures come up, and Kate Winslet, Cameron Diaz, and Jude Law have hardly aged because of what we've said. They have talked about, but Jack Black just looks like a guy in his 50s or like whatever age he is. Yeah. Not to say he looks bad at all. He still looks great. But it's so funny that if you were to put those four people back together again, it's like one of these people has aged like a normal person. The rest of these people have been like. I don't know, glazed, like, I don't know, like, preserved, like,
embalmed.
Yeah, exactly, pretty much. So it's because just the headshots, because it's him with his big grey beard, and like, just like looking like he's aged 20 years or however, like,
almost 20 years, yeah.
And the rest of them just look pretty similar, like, so yeah, I thought that was quite funny, just as a comparison of like.
I wonder if that's why.
That could be a reason. I think as well it speaks to him not having that pressure, feeling he has to adhere to the beauty standards of like Hollywood as well, just for him as an actor. Because he's like, I've always lived outside of the norm, so there's no pressure on me to keep that up. I can just
and I love that for him. I just wish that freedom existed for more creatives and more actors, I love that he's done that, and I loved he's carved this part of Hollywood for himself, and long may it continue. But I wish more bigger bodies were given that same grace.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact is, he would never, now being older, being bigger, he would never be cast in a role like this now. I don't think.
It's a really good question. Because I'm thinking like he doesn't have another role like this again. Like 2007's Tropic Thunder, and he's just like a coke fiend in that, isn't he? Like,
yeah.
I mean, like, let me get him up.
A lot. But yeah,
it's a lot.
Gulliver's Travels, which I remember seeing in the cinema, which is an awful film.
Is it? I've never seen.
Oh, terrible. And then like, I mean, he mainly does music now and like online stuff, and he has like a gaming channel.
He does have a good gaming channel. He was in the Mario film.
He was in the Mario film, which was kind of voiceover as Bowser.
Bowser, yeah. Yeah, so like, looking at his thing, so Gulliver's Travels, you mentioned Kung Fu Panda, that's a big thing.
Classic.
That comes up time and time again. Get your money.
Oh, totally.
Oh my God, like he's in loads of music videos at this time. There's things I've never heard of. Goosebumps. He's in the Goosebumps film.
Yes, and he's done a few indies. So like that one, the D Train, and
Jumanji.
Jumanji. Oh yeah,
that's a big film. And think he's great in Jumanji.
Yes, he is great in Jumanji.
He's really fun in Jumanji. He so much voiceover work. But good for him. Like I said, get your money. Like loads of music videos, loads of music. So he's not done a rom-com ever again. And I did read, obviously this would have been at the time, he had said that this was his best work. He felt he did his best work in The Holiday.
So sweet.
Which is so nice. And I think probably because like it was an opportunity for him to show like that he can be sincere. He can be like the love interest. You know, it's really gorgeous to see it. And I think the way he plays Miles, you know, when he finally gets rid of Maggie, like, fuck off Maggie, go home. And he manages to make it to Arthur's WAG.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, Caitlin, I fully had tears in my eyes at the WAGA thing. I was just like, when
he opens the door, yeah.
And I was like, oh, those people love Arthur so much. And I got tears in my eyes.
No, same. I didn't get teary, but I was like, I think I did that. Oh, like I was like, I held my heart. I was like, that's so sweet. Go Arthur.
Go Arthur. Yeah, it's a really gorgeous moment. And like when Iris sits down and Arthur's doing his speech, and or just I think he's getting there, and Miles runs down, like he really is sprinting. Oh yeah, Tom cruising down the aisle. I was like, fucking go for it, Jack. And you know, he says, like, he confirms that yeah, it's over between me, Maggie, and Iris. You know, she lights up because we understand Iris likes Miles by this point. And then he does that, like, you know, oh, what are you doing for New Year's? And she's like, oh, I'll be back in England. And he goes, I'm like, oh, well. Say, I've never been to England before.
Yeah, I've never been to Europe.
Oh, I've never been to Europe. Yeah. Like, what about if I came? Like, could I ask you out? And she's like, I'd love that. And then they have the one and only kiss. And you know, you mentioned earlier, like, if you compare this to those old timey Hollywood films you're talking about. You know, those couples only ever get together at the very last scene, and they would do the big smooch, and then like it would like zoom in on the smooch, and that would fade to black. Right, that's how those films ended. So that, I guess, that is that moment. But I was really struck by, again, this time because we're looking at through this lens of the comparison. So I didn't count how many times Amanda and Graham kiss, but it's definitely more than once.
Yeah, and it's framed as passionate,
very passionate,
like sexual connotations. Whereas the Miles and Iris kiss is very sweet, and romantic, and not at all sexually charged. It's not just very gentle.
All. Yeah, it is,
and lovely, but it's not. It doesn't have that kind of impulsivity and magnetism and kind of passion that the other two have.
Yeah. I'm not saying that romance isn't good. You know, a lot of like romantic connections start off that way. You know, you become friends, and then you know didn't think about it, or one of you likes you and the other one doesn't, and then it swaps, and you that happens all the time. That's like a really legit way of falling in love. I was just, if the only kiss we get between those two characters happened, I wish it was more passionate. I think I would buy into their romance more if there was just a bit more passion. Even just like a good hand placement somewhere. Because it's like, you know, very like, you know, hands by their side, and, you know, like, I'm like, wait, there was just not a lot going on. And they have that really gorgeous moment where they like pull away, and you know, Iris is beaming, and Miles does his little thrust, like, yeah, little pump, with very Jack Black. But that's it. Like, even when we have the New Year's, when the four come together, which, talk about cringe scenes, that scene really fucking cringes me out. Because clearly, these four actors have never been in the same room before. And because they filmed the entire thing separately. So now also you have to throw them in, and it has to already be these established relationships, because Iris and Graham are brothers and sisters, and Amanda and Miles know each other through work, and yet it's clear they don't know each other.
And then just two kids are like, what's happening? Like,
those poor little actresses, they are doing the Lord's work. They're trying.
So sweet,
they
bless
are
them.
Very cute.
Not annoying.
No, they're not annoying. They're not. They're really, really good. And the scene when they're like in the little tent, in the little den, and she's just like, what she says, she's like, it's so fun to have grown-ups who's a girl around.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cute.
That was very sweet. But
representation matters.
Representation matters. But it's you just wish that there was even if it was I don't know, like, because as well, like, obviously I realise in this auditorium they're not going to start, like, making out when Arthur's, like, up there trying to give his little speech.
That's such a good point, yes.
But, if it's if it was even him running and going, can I talk to you, can I talk to you around it, and having that moment in the hall where it's intimate, and it's two of them, and, but even if they were there, as you said, like, even if he was to hold her face, or, like, I don't know, like, that tactility isn't, like, there, like, or even if in an earlier scene, if he'd, like, kind of put his arm around her, I think that might have been nice. Like, I don't know, I just felt like it's a shame. And do you think for the length of this film, the fact that, like, it takes so long to get to that point and then it's kind of over, like, it would have been, and I kind of understand they're kind of juxtaposing almost, like, this like, Cameron Diaz and, I'm forgetting character names. Graham and Amanda. Yeah, Amanda and Graham start with lust and then kind of grow into love, whereas those two start with, like, friendship and then kind of grow into the other way. It kind of is just like, well, of course, like, they just get, like, one little kiss and it's sweet and it's like, oh, like,
I wanted to posit this because this is definitely something I've experienced growing up in a fat body. This idea that one of the things that you can offer, the person that you find attractive is, like, your friendship, be like. And it's this idea of, like, well, if you become friends, you never know, it might grow into love. Now, I have been, unfortunately, the victim of this a few times where I have thought that me being a really good friend would make them realize that I'm the one for them. Because I have been told, and I have internalized this idea that I don't have anything else to offer apart from my personality or my companionship, because they wouldn't find me attractive, right? That's beyond the question. So that's how I kind of navigated my earlier life, and this idea of, like, well, they might fall in love with me because they'll realize I'm a really good person, blah blah. And I think they are trying to I believe they might be trying to portray that exact same scenario with Iris and Miles. And I don't know, does that resonate with you at all?
Yeah, totally. But as you said, like, it's never worked.
No,
like, it's just been I'm really good friends with someone, and then they I don't know, they ask, is my mate single, or they start dating someone else, they'd be like, oh, thanks, like, cheers mate, like, I don't know. I think the interesting thing is, if it'd be very different if Jack Black hadn't had that initial relationship, because I think he could have been played as more of a sad sack.
And I also think it means that for the first 2 hours of the film, he's not actively pursuing Iris because he's with Maggie. They're just getting to know each other, and do you know, they have a flirtatious friendship. The whole, like, double kiss and then the awkward linger, like, which is a really funny moment. I like that moment a lot. But, like, he's still with Maggie during that.
Yeah,
but I think the film gives him the kind of get out of jail free card, which is, well, you're not actually pursuing Iris until you realize that Maggie isn't the one for you, and then you realize, oh no, it's, like, been Iris all along. But you're right, it means that he isn't this, like, doesn't come across as this desperate for love person, which makes sense because Iris is that desperate for love person.
Yes,
and we can't have both of them be desperate for love.
No, and I think that's quite sweet and refreshing, that, like, it's not the guy chasing the girl. It's not necessarily, neither of them are chasing each other as well. I think that's quite, like, there's no kind of, like, I'm pestering you into submission, like, neither of them, like, everything in this is quite organic. And even with with Graham and Amanda, it would be so easy to have a version of this film where Graham keeps turning up and trying to, like, woo her, and, like, she's like, no, I don't want to. Whereas it all feels, like, into the film's credit, all feels very kind of natural, and, like, there's nobody, the relationships and how they develop, of course it's like really short time frame, but they kind of make sense. Like, they kind of are like, all right, yeah, I see that, and it doesn't ever feel like anyone is kind of trying to, like, push someone into doing something they don't want to do, which again is, like, down to the writing and also the actors' chemistry. Like,
I totally agree. And on that note, even talk about that, neither one is pursuing the other one really, but when they're in they're in the sushi restaurant, and that's when Maggie rings Miles to kind of reconcile, and Iris obviously is gutted, but she doesn't try to sabotage, she doesn't try to stand in the way of Miles. She's like, you've got to go, you've got to reconcile, this is really good. And again, I loved your theory about if Iris was fat, because she does play it like a fat woman. She really does. Like, like her like, well, you would never choose me, so I might as well just support you in your goals, Like, that feels very genuine to my own experiences, and I think like a lot of people's experiences. I think ultimately, like, out of the four characters, none of them are bad, right? They're all decent people, and Nancy Meyers obviously does a really, really good job of making sure that the, like, exes are, like, genuinely the worst men to ever exist in film. She really makes a good point of that. So Miles and Graham, they don't have to work that hard just to be decent. But there was one moment where I was like, oh my god, the bar's on the floor, and it's when they're having the Hanukkah party, and they kind of say, like, oh, you must have, going all around town, all these different women. And Arthur mentions he obviously had this, wife. They got married very young, and they were together for many, many years. She has since passed. And then they mentioned to Miles, oh, what about you? And he's like, oh, like, I'm a one-woman kind of guy. And Iris sighs as if that is something to be, like, I don't know, admired. And I'm like, the bar is on the floor, babe.
Yeah,
very. There's just not enough decent blokes out there anymore, is there? Like, oh my god, let's raise our standards.
Everyone bar Graham and Miles, like, are the only decent men in this world.
Yes, and Arthur.
And Arthur, of course, yeah. That, like, anyone else just looks like a complete asshole in comparison. But yeah, the bar's on the floor. I also thought about if this film was to be made now or something similar, like the whole politics of, like, monogamy as well is, like, a big, like, because I think that's really evolved over the past kind of 17 years, is our relationship to, like, monogamy and sexuality as well. Because at the start of this film, I'm like, can't Cameron Diaz and Kate Winslet just get together? Like,
they got on very well over their messenger.
Yeah, they're just like, shall we just, like, both go to, like, let's just go on holiday together.
They could meet in New York. That's, like, in the middle. Yeah, why not? That'd be like, I would watch the hell out of that.
That could be the sequel. Two older women discovering their, like, their queerness in New York.
Yeah. Oh my god, make this film, please.
I'll write the spec script. I'll get it sent off.
So you can send it to Nancy.
Yeah, Nancy will love it. Nancy will eat it up.
Yeah, I think Nancy would. I don't know. I don't think she's ever done a queer storyline, but
I feel like that could be a Netflix. It feels like a Netflix original. Like, you could do it, like, hour and a half.
Like Happiest Season. Just like,
yeah.
Which, I mean, I love that film, but it's problematic as fuck. I was like,
Which one's Happiest Season?
That's the one with Kristen Stewart and
that
the woman
one
from Girls, and Dan Levy's the best friend.
Yes.
And Aubrey Plaza is, like, the hot ex-girlfriend. Oh my god, she's so hot in that film as well. And I'm like, Kristen Stewart, you drop that other girl right now and you go back with Aubrey, like, in a heartbeat.
100%.
In a heartbeat.
Because I get confused between that and then there's the one which is the Michael Urie gay one,
I don't know,
which has got Jennifer Coolidge in it.
Oh, fun.
As, like, drunk aunt.
Of course.
But again, it's like problematic.
Is it?
Gay
Great.
film.
I mean, why not? Because we don't have enough of them.
Yeah, why not just add another one to the fire?
Just another one.
But yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. It's I was surprised and to my, in a good way, but like there's bits of this dialogue which are just really, from me as a writer, I'm like, oh, this is really good. Like, it's really good dialogue. Some of it's clunky, of course, because like, you know, you have to try and manufacture certain scenarios to happen. But the actual, between the two couples in particular, like exchanges just feel really real and really believable. Yeah. I think that's why people like it, is because the characters are likable, but they're not like perfect.
Yes.
And the relationships are believable, and I think like people will buy anything if those two things are like strong in like a romantic comedy.
Do you think if you separated out these two relationships, you could have a standalone film with just Iris and Miles' story?
No. I think you'd need another component. I think you could absolutely have a 90-minute Cameron Diaz, Jude Law film, because there's so many other things at play, and the stakes are higher because he has those kids, and it just feels like, you know, there's more stakes there. But I think you need Kate Winslet's character to be a lot more like developed, and not just be, as you said, like English and nice being her personality. You know, and then like, you know, I think you could, but I think you would have to do a lot more work than with the other two. I think you'd have to try and, you know, find more conflict for her and find more depth, I suppose.
Yeah, it's definitely the B plot.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's something, again, I hadn't really recognised before until like watching it with this. I was like, oh, like, Iris is very underdeveloped, and as much as like I think Miles is a really good character, but I think that's because of Jack Black.
He brings that to it, yeah.
Yeah, but then I wonder, like, Kate Winslet is such a good actress. How come she couldn't do the same? And I guess it's because Kate Winslet isn't a personality. She's a mimic. She goes into the role, where Jack Black is a personality. He can bring himself into it. And actually, on that, I would say Cameron Diaz is the same. She's a personality. There's such a there's a flair of her own that she brings to her characters. You know, actually, this film made me really realize how much I miss Cameron Diaz. I think she might have actually just come out of retirement.
I think she has,
for some reason.
She's like so good. Like, she's so good. The energy she brings, the kind of like, she can't, because I think it's really hard to be like a female lead in romantic comedies, and kind of hold your own, just because of like the way that the audience expectation, and she really does that, and like really, she's the funny one, like in her and like that problem with her and Graham, like she is the one who's bringing the energy and the comedy, and that's really really refreshing. That like he's just there to look pretty and like kind of be quite charming, and she's the one who gets to be like have agency and be funny. Whereas I feel like it's kind of the reverse in Iris and Miles, where he is the charisma and she is the oh my gosh, like, you're wonderful, like,
yes. And I also think within Amanda's character, there's so much complexity within it. Like, obviously, like, we understand, like, you know, she obviously comes from divorced parents. That really hurt her for a long time. She has that, like, weird, like, esophageal spasms that happen a lot, which apparently Nancy Meyers gets, which is why she wrote it into the character. I was going to say,
I reckon, like, that's why that character is so much more developed, is probably because it's kind of a thing, and like a sub-in for Nancy Meyers. So that's why that feels so kind of lived in. Because I know certainly, like, when I'm writing, the characters who are closest to me are always the ones that people respond to the most, because they feel the most lived in and they feel the most authentic. So I think I think when you're writing from like you know, whether it's her Americanness, her kind of being career driven, her kind of like being quite neurotic, because I've ever done a few instances of Americans, like when Americans try to like write English people speaking, like being like, "Oh, you stinker!" Like I think
that's what Rufus says.
Iris is. Yeah, Rufus calls her a stinker, and I'm like, is that an English thing? I mean, neither of us are English, so I can't comment. But like, and then the shagging,
and I'm like, shagging is such an English term. Do you know? I do say the word shag because it is a really fun word to say, but yeah, like that is 100% someone going like, they're British, don't you know?
Yeah, like I would fancy shag. Like it's very like Austin Powers coded. Like I don't know.
Yes, definitely.
But like it's all very tally-ho. Like hello, I'm British.
And like Rufus's character is Jasper. Like
Jasper.
Have you ever met a Jasper?
The only Jasper I'm aware of is Jasper Carrot from Golden Balls. That was it. But like,
oh my God.
I don't know him personally. Yeah, Jasper is such a Iris and Graham. Like I don't know. Like I thought Graham was a bit. I don't know any other films with a character called Graham in them.
So my fiance is called Graham. So and he loves the way the Americans say his name. So because they go Graham. And because of this film, when people meet Graham, they go, "Oh, like Jude Law on The Holiday."
That's so cute. I know, because I always think of RuPaul saying Graham Norton.
Yeah, another famous Graham. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know any other Grahams in film. Like I know Grahams in real life. I know a couple of Grahams.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
But like, yeah, it was just funny hearing like,
well, we never get an Iris. That name. Never an Iris.
Yeah, true that. Actually, yeah, Miles. Yeah, I suppose they're all quite individual. Amanda's the only one which is kind of
Yeah, Amanda does pop up. But yeah, the other three I think are a bit more interesting. I always find it weird, like, because like, you know, really common names you get all the time is like Sarah, for example. Like every woman is called Sarah, and that's my sister's name. And so she'd be like, it's like me. And my name, Hannah, is super common, yet characters are never called Hannah. So I'm like,
I can only think of girls.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good example. But like I said earlier, Sarah Parrish in this film is called Hannah. She never says that name, but it's in the credits, so it exists.
Yeah, there you go. Caitlin's are always bitches. From what I can remember, it's always like Caitlin. It's always American.
Yeah, I can definitely hear it.
Caitlin, like, whereas I don't really. I mean, I was meant to be the skin tangent. I was meant to be called Cochlin, which is the Irish pronunciation of Caitlin. So it's spelled exactly the same, but it's just pronounced like, I think there's fadas in it, so it's Cochlin. But half of my family are from the north of England, and they could not say it. They were like, Gotchlin, and my mum was like, no, we'll just call her Caitlin.
It's going to be so much less drama if we just call her Caitlin. The English can say
Caitlin,
it.
Same spelling. Yeah, because it all comes from the English for Kathleen. So there you go. Yep. There's a bit of etymology.
We're learning things. I just want to come back to Cameron Diaz. So she is coming out of retirement. There's a film currently in production. Don't know when it's coming out. It's called Back in Action, which is very, poignant for Cammy. It's going to star Jamie Foxx, Cameron Diaz, and Andrew Scott. So that sounds like a good, fun film.
That's Andrew Scott's role, but I love that for
him. No, I love that
That's
for him.
Great.
We like both couples. We have commented that one couple is definitely a stronger couple than the other. I have said jokingly, I don't think either of these couples would still be a thing now, 17 years later. Do you agree? Oh yeah, okay. Love that. Yeah, it is exactly that. It's exactly that intensity. It's going to crash and burn. I hope not, because, there's kids there involved, and that's going to be really traumatic for them. But I think, again, I really like Amanda as a character. I think she calls it spot the fuck on. And, oh God, I do love Cameron Diaz in this film. I just think, I understand, Graham is obviously such a hopeless romantic, and again, having that gender swap is really, I know more rom-coms do it more because they want to be edgy, but if I think back to where we are, 2006, that wasn't happening as often back then. So I think it is really nice to see Cameron Diaz like play that more like colder role as well. You know, I think about Cameron Diaz, I think about Charlie's Angels, I think about The Mask, and she is like inherently a warm person. And I think in this she's you know a bit of an ice queen, and I appreciate that's like a proper gendered stereotype, but she plays it so well, and
you understand why she's like that.
Yeah, she's
which
not
I think
like,
is why.
Yeah, she's not one dimensional at all. And you understand why Graham kind of warms her down, right? For lack of a better term, like, you know, he's not persistent anyway. Again, kind of back to what you're saying, but like he's not lecherous. He's not, you know, he asks for consent and all that good stuff. Oh my god, there is one line though where I was literally like, stop being such a pick me, Cammy. Where he asks, "What's your position on foreplay?" And she goes, "Oh, I think it's really overrated." And I was like, Cameron fucking Diaz, shut your mouth.
I think so. I think she doesn't mean that. I think she's just like, just come here and have me already.
I hope, Jude.
I think that she was using it. I think she was using it as like a little like, oh, I think it's really overrated. Toss, just come here and like get me, like rather than like her actual kind of. I hope so. Again, I hope so because like, come on, girl.
She should have some fun. And I bet Graham.
Maybe it's about getting straight to business, though. Maybe it's about getting. Cameron's like, I've got to go edit a trailer for this James Franco and Lindsay Lohan vehicle.
So glad you just mentioned that.
So I have to be in and out literally. Like, I don't have time to spare.
I have 10 seconds. 10 seconds while they change the text of Christmas Day from white to red. Obviously, why would you not do that already?
And make it 3 times bigger. Yeah, exactly.
Not Scorsese red. Like a happy red.
But then why was the trailer coming out so soon? Like the film was being... Anyway.
So my gut feeling was it's for next year.
Okay. Yeah,
like,
that makes more sense.
It's to get them ready. You know how they like release trailers so
far in advance.
Yeah. I know James Franco's cancelled, but where is that film? Where can we all see it? I'd love to... I want to know where it is. Because I was like... I mean, again, 2006... It's his Lilo's time, Lindsay's time, and she's
peak, yeah.
Oh, like it's just such a good cameo. I love it so much. And then again, go back to other little weird pop culture moments. When Amanda is eating the food in the bed, she's watching Little Britain.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. I was like, this is so weird, like the crossover event. Another pop culture moment, which really made me like go like laugh, and I was like, is this an inside joke or like what? Is when Iris is looking through the DVDs, she picks out Punch Drunk Love, which is one of my favorite films, and then goes to open it and then Millie puts it on, and I'm like, what gives? Like, so weird, but like such a random choice, but I loved it. I was like, good taste.
It is, but I wonder if there's something, I mean, I might be reading far too much into this, but, like, that was definitely seen as, like, an Adam Sandler, like, oh, he could do other things kind of film.
Yes.
And I wonder if that's, like, kind of same with Jack Black in this.
I think there was certainly that, and I was thinking that earlier. I'm like, I would love for Jack Black to have now even more of a career renaissance in kind of like a Ben Stiller and kind of like an Adam Sandler, because I think he's got it in him. He just needs someone to give him, like, the role to, like, really, like, you know, be like, oh yeah, shit, he is really good.
But I wonder if he wants to.
But that's the thing, yeah, I think he's happy, like, you know, doing Tenacious D, doing voiceover, like, playing games, like,
I think he's just having fun, you know?
Which, honestly, I'm here for, like, that music video of him with Kyle, have you seen that one where they're in their, like, really small swimming trunks, like, slow-mo running, so good.
Mm-hmm. Exactly that. Like, if he's having fun, because that's the thing, right? You know, we always say, oh my god, comedy actors make some of the best dramatic actors. We always say this, right? And we always go, oh my god, they should give more opportunities to these people, blah, blah, blah. But, and I'm not saying I don't doubt Jack Black's talent at all, but he just comes across as such a fun-loving guy. I wonder if he actually just wouldn't want to do it for himself. Very similar, I mean, I'm currently listening to Britney Spears' book, and you know, she mentions how when I fucking love this woman. So when she did Crossroads, she said she really lost herself in the character, and it's like Crossroads. It's not a deep film, and so it really scared her. She was like, because I think as well with Britney, obviously she never really knew who she was either, because obviously everything that happened around her. So I think when she did this role, it freaked her out. And then when she was the last one with Rachel McAdams for The Notebook, she said she was actually really thankful she never got it, because like that's such a much more dramatic film than Crossroads.
Totally.
What would have happened to her psyche? And not to say that Jack Black doesn't have, he's obviously a trained actor, so he probably has more of a safety net, or like mechanisms in place that he wouldn't lose himself in that way. But he probably is like, I don't want to put myself in that position emotionally or mentally to put myself in a more dramatic role. Bring me joy. Yeah.
And again, he's at a point in his career where he's comfortable and he doesn't have to. Feel like he has to prove anything either, because he doesn't. Like,
yeah. If he had a goal that I want to win an Oscar, then he would be doing it. Like, if he was like Jim Carrey, who was so hungry for an Oscar, bless him, he'd have done it. He never got there though, did he, babe? Didn't get there though.
And he never will. But let's get Adam Sandler's flowers one of these days.
Again, like Adam Sandler, like I really enjoy Uncut Gems, and I think he's really, really good in that film. But I think very similar to what I've just said, I think it's a struggle for him mentally, because like again, if you think about who he is in that film, it's so intense. And if you're just usually the guy who's like with your mates in Hawaii somewhere, that must be such like a culture shock.
100% from being like, and being also for him being the boss, against tangent, like, he runs all his productions, like he lets his daughter make a film, like, which is, I don't know if you've seen You're Still Not Coming to My Bar Mitzvah. Highly recommend.
Oh, no, I haven't. I've never heard of it.
It's an Adam Sandler's daughter vehicle. And she is a star.
Oh, my love. Good for her.
It's a Netflix original. It's an hour and a half. A lot of fun. But yeah, again, as we said about Jack Black, I think if he wanted to do something, he would do it. So,
Okay, I have a challenge for you. We've both said that Kate Winslet kind of struggles. Bless her. We love her. Please don't read it out of the way. But there could have been someone else who did that role. Someone, who would we, if we could recast, who would we put in the Kate Winslet role now? Someone who's actually, someone who could hold their own against Jack.
I'm trying to think of that time as well, like 2006. I'm trying to think of like the British actresses who are around at that time. I mean, is Dawn French too old?
Yes. So I think Jack Black's 69 and I think Kate's 75. Year. Not old.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So someone like a Dawn French.
I think Dawn French is like 50 something.
She's 60 something. Yeah, 57.
Yeah,
she's 60.
So she's 60 something now. So this is a really rogue choice, but because we talked about Adam Sandler, and one of my favorite, like, this is so stupid, one of my favorite Adam Sandler films is Just Go With It with Jennifer Aniston. And one of the reasons why I love that film so much is Nicole Kidman's performance, where she plays like the bitchy old college mate. Put Nicole Kidman in instead of Kate Winslet, because Nicole Kidman can be so fucking funny. Like, honestly, like, I mean, again, like, she's so cuckoo bananas in Moulin Rouge. That is my favorite film of all time. She's so fucking funny and Just Go With It. She can do the accent. She loves a wig, Nicole Kidman. Put her in the blonde wig.
Like a little White Lies wig. Get her back in that.
Do it. And I think that would be a really interesting recast.
I love that choice. Yeah, I wonder if there's just someone who's a bit more kind of
down to earth.
Down to earth, maybe even like an eccentric, kind of quirky, like kind of kooky.
Okay.
Like, I think you could go with that vibe as well. Like, she's a bit, like, and again, her house is like kind of a cottage, and she's a bit like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm trying to think. Oh, God.
Emma Thompson.
Emma Thompson, Sally Phillips.
Who's Sally? Oh, yeah. Oh, Sally Phillips. Would she be the right age?
Is she a bit old again?
No.
I'm just advocating for my older ladies here.
No, please do. Yeah, someone has to. Someone has to. Oh no, Sally Phillips is a year older than Jack Black. A year younger, than Jack Black. So that could work.
I know she's not a big name. But this could be like introducing Sally Phillips.
But she would be riding out of Bridget Jones. She, like, people would recognise her from that. Again, like, incredibly English sounding, English looking person, that could work. Well, that's an interesting point of view. Again, having like I know the whole point of this film was that it has like 4 big names. So
yeah.
But anyway, that was fun. So, no offense to Kate. We love you, Kate.
No, Kate, we love you.
We love you.
You're very yeah. I'm not worried about getting like blacklisted by Kate Winslet. Please be on my work, Kate. We love you.
No, we do. It's just, they can't all be winners, No. Someone has to be a stinker, as Jasper says. Okay. So, the one last thing I had to talk about was Cameron Diaz. Amanda says, she talks about like going on vacation. She's not taking a holiday in however long. And John Krasinski and Catherine Hahn are like, "You vacation?" And she says, "I just want to eat carbs and not want to kill myself."
Yeah.
And again, I've probably seen this film at least 20 times, and I've never heard that line. And I appreciate, like, I have such a sensitivity to this kind of language now. When I heard that, I was like, oh, that sucks. But it's also, I also believe it. Mm-hmm. I believe, women do see, that's such a blanket statement. Some women can see the holidays as being like, well, that means the diet's off, right? I can just relax because diets are not relaxing. How did you feel when you heard that line?
So it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because because Hannah sent you a little email before, and you mentioned that line, so I was keeping an ear out for it. Because again, I don't think I never considered it before, but I think to me it read as this is a woman who is so in control of everything in her life.
Yes,
and it's more of a control thing than anything else. Like I think it's that need to look perfect, to be perfect, to have everything under control. And it's kind of refreshing that is the only line, especially from a film of that time period.
It is
and
they don't
line. Mention it about anything about women enjoying food or anyone enjoying food at any other point in the film. Because like later on, she's a big bowl of pasta and she goes to the shop and she puts stuff in her like shopping basket. And
I love that scene.
Yeah, where there's just a woman says like about the party, like oh, you're having a party, and then she's drinking wine and like
and she's like, oh yeah,
oh yeah, like
for her,
it's So yeah, I think it's sad because you're like, oh god, but I'm sure it's very relatable.
Yeah,
to a lot of people and how they feel, especially around like Christmas. And I think it's an interesting thing to even like around the holiday season, that she can just be like, I can actually just like not think about this and enjoy myself.
Yeah, agreed. I think when I heard that line, it's really early on in the film, and I was like, "Oh no, is this going to be a thing?" And it absolutely isn't. Even like if you come back to like Hello Big Dollop, like the fact that Iris actively chooses the more, I don't know, sugary option or the more calorific option, and Jack Black, he's surprised, but it's not from a like oh, should you be having that? It's just like, oh, you just like whipped cream. That's literally as far as that thought goes. And again, if you compare that to, say, Bridget Jones's Diary, which is so about weight and what she's eating, and is she eating too much, is she eating too little, like being judged for what she's like eating, drinking, smoking, like it's just really refreshing that these two, and I mean, it has to be said, these two are incredibly thin. Like Cameron Diaz has a very athletic body type. She always has. We've already spoken about Kate Winslet. But kind of come back to what you were just saying, a lot of people relax around the holidays, as they should. You got your Tinder celebrations or roses or quality streets, whatever it might be, have, however many mince pies you want to have, like you do relax, and it's nice to see that these women do relax, as they should, as they are completely entitled to. And I'm glad that Nancy acknowledges it. She acknowledges it, like you say, that
100%.
Amanda has his control. She probably feels his pressure to look a certain way, especially in Hollywood, etc., etc. But she's giving herself a break from all of that. Like she's trying not to work. She's not answering her email. She's not sticking to her no carb diet, which insane, by the way. Carbs are a really important part of our diets. Yeah, so
100%.
Yeah, I think I was worried, but then I relaxed. I relaxed.
Yeah, because immediately you're on guard, going, okay, and then but I didn't notice anything else, and
no,
like, you know, even when they're out for like they go out for like sushi and like
you see them eat,
you know, yeah, and drinking hot chocolate, and like it's just seen as like a nice, comforting shared thing, which is like and which is just really lovely, and like there's no like, again, I suppose like Jack Black makes certain things about his about like feeling not good enough, but it's never mentioned that that's to do with his appearance or his weight, or he doesn't feel like he has to change in any way, and like it's just really just refreshing. It's just like to see a film from this time, which, you know, is about kind of romantic relationships and love, and again, as you said, like, you know, we've got two very kind of thin women, but even with that, you look at other films that are like, and they still mention it, so it's just like really, I think as well, I wonder if it's to do with a woman having a woman writing it as well.
Yeah, I wondered that too.
And directing as well. Like, I think there's a certain level of kind of awareness or, you know, perspective that she can bring.
I just had another thought of a potential recasting for Kate Winslet, because I think she'd still be alive as Natasha Richardson. So, because obviously they would have had their relationship from The Parent Trap. She might have been maybe a bit too old at this point, but she can, I mean, she's so funny in The Parent Trap.
So good.
Yeah, she's got that vibe to her. But I think she'd still be around, so that would have been...
The only one thing, it's a small thing, was when I don't know if you know this about the Netflix algorithm.
Okay.
But they pick which picture they think you're going to be most intrigued by. So they have like 20 different pictures for every film and TV show.
Stop.
And this is 100% accurate. So like, if you compare your profile to someone else's, you'll have the same TV shows but all different like images.
Oh my gosh!
And my one of the holiday is Jack Black.
It was mine too.
Yeah, but you'll find someone else who, like, it'll be Cameron Diaz, or it'll be like a romantic relationship, or it'll be and that's 100%.
Oh, you know what? I'm so happy because the algorithm knows what I want to see, and that is fat people on my screen. Show me more fat people, Netflix, please.
So there's a little tidbit for you. So if you have Netflix, go on and see who your little holiday.
Yes, and please, I'm going to put that in the Q&A thing in the Spotify notes.
If they're all Jack Black and I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but it definitely is a thing, and it was a thing. But I think that's I think it's true.
I'm now gonna, when I come off this call, I'm literally gonna go straight downstairs. I'm gonna look at Derry Girls and see if it's Nicola Coughlan as my main gal.
I will screenshot you my little thing, and then I'll send it to you, and we can compare and see if we've got the same.
That's blown my mind. That has blown my mind. I mean, it makes sense. You know, like, what if you want to get people clicking on your thing? Well, what's going to make people click on the thing? Well,
have you watched things with this? What, this actor, or have you watched things that are romantic? Have you watched things that are more adventure? Have you? Yeah, so they tend to like try and so they'll have smart. Like a number of different images. I can't remember which TV show it was a few years ago, but everyone was then I think it was Russian Doll. Oh yeah, there was a whole article about how there was like loads of different images for Russian Doll, and everyone was trying to analyze what the image they got meant.
Oh my god, yeah, I want to know.
So yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
That was my only little thing.
That's a fantastic note to end on. I loved that. Okay, well, Caitlin, you know, because you've been here a couple times before, that at the end of a Facts of Film episode, we like to rate the film or TV that we have just watched, and we like to rate them depending on how well we believe they represented fat bodies, and we like to rate them out of ourselves. So out of a potential 5 Caitlins, what will you give The Holiday for fat representation?
I'm gonna give it 3.5 Caitlins.
Okay, would you like to explain your 3.5 Caitlins?
No. No. I think just because, like, there's nothing that's like to my mind extremely positive, but there's nothing negative, and just having someone in a romantic role, and that in a bigger body is great. So, and the half just because it's Jack Black. So, I feel like because it's there, but it doesn't sway either. Yeah, way for me in an extreme. I would say 3.5.
It's like neutral.
Yeah, neutral plus.
Neutral plus because of Jack.
Yeah, it's like a B.
A B. Okay, we like that. A B for black.
B for black.
A B for Jack Black. So I was going to give it 3 Hannahs. Because I feel very similar. I think like it's fantastic that we have a fat actor in a romance role. Like that is phenomenal. Give that to me all day, every day. His body is never mentioned. It's never mentioned that he wants to go on a diet. It's never mentioned that he he thinks of himself as less than. You know, he's obviously a very successful person. You know, she's driving around his Audi convertible around LA. He's obviously doing really well for himself, and I love that. I just wish that their relationship was more. No, that's not fair. I wish that kiss was more passionate. I think if that kiss was like a snog, I think I'd have bumped up a whole Hannah. But that kiss really just leaves me a bit like I just want more. Like, is that it? We spent 2 hours with these people and we don't even get like a little bit of like a, you know, hand in the hair moment.
Oh, 100%. Oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it.
Oh, please. She's a writer. But yeah, just something more would have really just tipped this over the edge. But it's, you know, even like a lesser Christmas film would have put him in like a Santa outfit at some point. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, but it doesn't do that. It doesn't do that. So for that reason, I think it has to just be a 3. It could be better 100%, but it could have been a lot worse. So yeah, that's 3.5 Caitlins. That is 3 Hannahs. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Caitlin, for joining me on the very first Christmas episode of Fats on Film. But Love Actually is coming up because
here we go.
You know, like justice for Martine. Justice.
I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes.
Oh my lord! I'm gonna. I mean, my guest for Love Actually is Faye, who is on for Bridget Jones's Diary. So it's a very similar theme, isn't it? Let's just ruin these non-fat women and ruin how we perceive fatness for a whole generation of people.
Why not?
Why not? But yeah. Anyway. Thank you so much, Caitlin, for coming on and talking about this with me. Please let me and listeners know where they can find you and more of your work.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm at Kate Kearns on all of the social media, I think. I'm still on X just about, but I've also moved over to Blue Sky. So you can find me on there, and I'm on Instagram, and it's Kate M. Kearns, which is CAITMKEARNS. And if you would like to see some like plus size romantic, well, not see, it's hearing, but if you'd like some plus size romantic representation, I have a new audio drama out called Heartburn, which is about kind of 2 fat people who had a situationship and have kind of reconvened over a night, and it came out earlier this week, and you can listen to it for free, and the link will be in my bio if you would like to listen to it. And in my personal opinion, you know, it's quite good. So,
oh, you would say that?
Well, the acting's very good. I didn't. And I insisted, even though it was audio, to have 2 fat actors doing it because
that's important.
Totally important. So yeah, if you want to listen to that, that is out there as well.
Oh, thank you so much, Caitlin. And I will make sure to put all what you've just said in the show notes below, so it just makes it super easy for our listeners to go off out of this amazing conversation we just had and listen to more of your work. That would be super easy. That would be so
perfect.
Good. Yeah. Well, listeners, I want to say a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, or whatever other religious holiday you may celebrate during this time. Happy holidays. And they can find the podcast at Fats on Film on Twitter, Instagram, and then they can find myself at Queen Bee Says at Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And also, you can email me if you want. I'd love to hear like your thoughts and just, I don't know, chat shit with me. I'm always looking for a friend. fatsonfilm@outlook.com, and I will see you at the next one. And remember to stay fat. Now we're out.